Hi everybody, Susie Phillips here. This is a day trade recap. I worked with a couple of stocks, several stocks today. It was a green day. I guess I was one of the lucky ones. I work with my coaching students in a private trade room online. I laid out a couple of stocks this morning. I had Vero, it was on the watch list, VERU. It had gapped up really high this morning from 750 all the way up to 1073 pretty quickly, within a half an hour or so. It had made that move. I wasn't in my office when it had done that. I saw it more like over in this range. So basically had already made the move. And I let everyone know that, hey, this probably isn't going to be tradable, but we'll keep it watching because it did gap up. Who knows? It was sort of holding this level. But because it was above this top green line, I had already made that move. I didn't feel confident that it had much more juice left in it. I had this red line here that I put on from the daily chart. And I'll show you how I did that, the 20-year one-day chart. What I look for when I'm doing those daily chart lines, here's that red line right there. I'll zoom in so you can see what I look for. I look for places where bottoms and tops have touched a couple of times, right? Here we had, this is what I saw first. This bottom, it bounced up, came down hard, found support there, and then, that was a level, right? And then, so I looked to the left to see, well, who else? This level right here, and then there was 3 candles back here that kind of hit that same level. And then over here, it also found support and resistance there as well. So that red line was important to me. And when I had seen that it had already touched that and rejected pretty severely, actually. Yeah, because 1073 all the way down to 939, over $1 rejection. It just looked like it was going to be an all-day fader, which is exactly what it was. But we had it on our watch because it was a big gap, but it couldn't hold support. And these lines, if it's above the green line, it's probably not going to play very well for the rest of the day. Not always the case, but that's kind of an indicator that we watch. And then once it broke support, I knew it was heading down for this thicker line, which is exactly where it's kind of settled. Okay, so that's how Vero, and then I laid out my trade plan for SQQQ. Laid that out at making this big move right here. These are good lines to have. You don't have to draw these. These are indicators. I teach my coaching students how to set these up and get them so they work like a charm on your chart, and I teach how to do it. But anyway, it's just fun. And this horizontal line, this 1 dash line, this is a daily level that I put on. So that's not one of the others. But anyway, my trade plan was, I could see that this was going to be a target right here. 58.36 was my target for this one, right? And that was right about here, okay? And I told them that way back here when it was making this move. So what I look for when it made this move, it was too late for me to chase that. I wasn't going to do that. I was going to let it come down and find support on one of these lines, and here it did. It found support finally. It was kind of bouncing around in between levels, but here it found support, and here it found support again. So it was like, okay, looks like it's going to go up to my initial target that I was looking at, and able to get in at $54.58 and take it to my 58.36. Actually got a better fill than I expected, 58.56, and it was really good, And had you missed that play, you could have got in really easily over here. This was a beautiful buy signal right here at support, right? You're looking for it at support. Here we had above support on the 50. It came down and touched the 50. Could have taken it up there. You would have probably got in around 57.88 and made a nice $1 per share on that little trade. But this thing was giving opportunities all day long. If you put it on a 5-minute chart, it's maybe a little easier to read. See here, you could have got in. You're going to miss a little bit of range, but it's easier to read. But anyway, that's how SQQ went. The next one that I looked at, let's talk about Redbox, RDBX. It was on the scanner, which was really crazy because it was so awfully red. They had done this big sell-off in the, it had been almost $6 a share all the way down to, $2 or whatever it was. And then it rallied back up to that same level. So there was a nice little gap fill going on here. Let me put it back on the 1-minute chart. See how it used this line, this dash line? It actually used all of it. It used this one, and then it found this one here, rallied off of this level. See that? I found support there. Came up and touched this level. Came back down and treated this one as a little bit of resistance. Then it found it as support and then ran all the way back up to fill that gap, right? That nice gap level. So you're using these as targets. You can read them. And so anyway, was able to get in on that one right at above this level. Once it proved it as support, I was able to get in at around $3.07. And I just rode the trend all the way up to the gap fill, which was 553. So not a bad little trade. I mean, they had been bought out by Redbox, or not Redbox had been bought out by Chicken Soup. So Chicken Soup bought it down cheap, and then it rallied up. And that was what this little move was all about. It was just a gap fill on that dip right there. So it's still, it's like 45% in the red on the day. It's a bad red day for this stock, but you can still make some money on those, on the turnarounds and stuff. There's a lot of energy in these charts. The next one I looked at was Riot. It was on my scan early. It's a crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain type sector. And I am familiar with this stock. I've worked with it a lot over the years. But again, I saw this range in between these two. So these two lines. And I was just looking for an entry right around here. And I was able to get in on this candle at 733 and just take it to 790. And so a 60-cent or so gain per share isn't bad on a day like today. And see how it treated that line? If I zoom out, you can really see how it treated that dash line. See that? See how it's treating this other line? These lines are great, and you don't have to draw them. You just have to get them on your chart, and I help my students get them on there. And look at that. It's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So that was Riot. The next one was BWV, which is one that I've been working with for the past couple of days. It's been moving a lot. So today it made a little bit of a move. I caught it later, right around here, because it was above this dash line. And I thought, well, we'll take it to the next. You'll see how it treats this level, and then take it to the next level. And through this line, everything was still pointing up. So I just stayed with it, getting in at around $6 and taking it to $6.70 was my exit on that one. So 70 cents on BW. If you use these lines, it's pretty. You use these lines for support and resistance and targets, and then use these other lines for direction and understanding, is it just a pullback? Is it going to continue? And that's what that was all about there. I stayed with this. It pulled back to support right here and then continued on up, which is what I expected. So you don't have to get out at these lines necessarily. Just make sure you understand here. It was pretty clear that 2 touches of that same level, I was already out, but 2 touches of that same level, it was weakening right there. Couldn't get above this line. But here we were well above the line. So continuation signal there. And then, was that the last one? Yeah, that was the last one I looked at and worked with today. So gave out my trade plan in pre-market to my coaching students. And they knew exactly what I was going to do with SQQQ. And they knew I probably wasn't going to trade VERU because, like I showed you, VERU had already made the move, right? When it's above the top green line, it's pretty much done. This is a daily line. It did touch that too, but it was already above this green line. It was pretty much done. So I told them we're probably not going to be trading VERU, SQQQ, because we knew the market was still in a sell-off situation. So it was on my watch clear back here, and I was shooting for this line. Okay. I showed you the SPY, what it's doing, the S&P. I believe it's going to need to find support on the daily, right? It's in between lines. Once it hits this, it might bounce up, but right now it's in between lines. So there's no real support or resistance. It's just a place where it's going to continue to trend whatever the trend direction is, which is down right now. So anyway, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you would like to join our trade plan group or learn more about how I get these lines and work with this beautiful setup or any of my other strategies, just let me know and I'll help you out. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.